Okay, looking at the trespass law, this public highway thing, it seems like the main argument is that I wasn't on a public highway, I was just in a private parking lot. So for the cops to ask for my driver's license and insurance is going beyond any requirements. Okay, they're pushing the limits. They're trying to normalize their behavior so that people start to believe that's how the law is, asking for insurance to be okay. Whenever they see somebody that is in possession of a vehicle, then the cops want to demand insurance as a part of their own policy, but it doesn't appear to be supported by the law. All right, they'll say that it's a part of the law, but it's more a part of the cops' policy than the law, as far as I understand. But the law is driver's license is demanded based upon possession of a vehicle, but you can just go through the arrest process and then just show your driver's license to the judge, I guess, is the way it's sounding. All right, the trespassing is what I'm charged with. So, because I mean they discussed it, and then if I get those body cams, you'll hear them discuss and say that they couldn't charge me with a failure to produce driver's license or insurance because that's not a part of the charge, so they just scrapped it. That was just something that was the issue they pushed. It could be something that they want to charge me with later, when I plead not guilty. They'll throw in some kind of disorderly conduct or some type of driving, whatever they want to make up. It's happened before. It happens other places. It happened to me in North Dakota, Williston, North Dakota. When I pled not guilty, they tacked on another charge. So, but that was in the city court. City court tends to be a lot more dirty than the district, and I'm supposed to see a district judge. So we'll see how that works out with district judges. With the case law on trespass now, peace officer, let's see, they can arrest you without a warrant on trespass. Let's see, there's a lot I got reading here. It's prepared by Robert Parker, and he has gathered a lot of pages of this, and I didn't even start looking into it yet. So he's ahead of me on this, and I'm reading what he's put together, and it's quite a lot. So if I enter a property of another by express invitation or implied acquiescence of the owner or occupant solely on his own business, pleasure, or convenience. So I wasn't invited, but there was definitely implied acquiescence because they have a sign. And I guess what I would want to do on Monday is talk to the city hall about getting that seeing the law about the boxes, individual property boxes that run from private to commercial to industrial. They all have different demands. Okay, it's not like I ran onto somebody's front yard and chasing their dog and then pushing their kid over, kicking over a sandcastle. I didn't jump over somebody's fence to go into somebody's house. This wasn't a house. Nobody should be allowed to advertise any kind of gathering point or business in a private residence. And so they don't specify that in the law, which is really weird to me. But for the city, they generally have zoning laws, and they specify the zones, what's allowed and not allowed in the zones. All right, and if you're zoned as a private residence, where it's solely a place where you live, then you're not going to be able to advertise a business and invite hundreds and hundreds of people to come to your property. It has different requirements. No matter how big your house is, it's still, if it's zoned private residence, I mean, it's still going to have restrictions. And if you get zoned commercial, and then you're going to have a bigger parking lots, and you can have a sign in front of your business. There's different standards there. And although the church is not considered a business, they're still they're in the neighborhood, but they're zoned differently. They have a much bigger parking lot for events and functions and stuff, and that's because of their zoning privileges. And so they have an invitational type of setting there, and it's an implied. I would say that their signs are implied acquiescence. So it's implied that people can visit the churches. This church that I visited, I didn't park in somebody's backyard. So I don't understand why, they can say that you're invited in, but then have cops come up and say you're not invited at all. It's a total surprise, especially when you didn't, cause any problems for anybody to call the cops on you. Like you're at a party where everybody's invited, and then suddenly the cops tell you to leave, and you don't know what you did. Nobody complains, but that's it. It's really. I think it falls back on a matter of law. A matter of how the cops conduct themselves more than anything, how they pick and choose who to pick on, because it's really it's really sad to see how the businesses can invite you on, but then cops can kick you off, throw you in jail for coming on because of this implied acquiescence. And I'm being told that. It's even though there's everyone welcome sign at this church my last video, that I was wrong to go onto that property. Somebody could have been dead behind the building, and I would have been one of the first to discover. If everybody else followed that property law or whatever, the old no trespassing sign barely hanging onto the line. There could have been a dead body there for days or something, and nobody would know. If we got to all follow the law to the T, and that's just one example. What about checking for office hours? What if I wanted to visit with somebody there and I wanted to find office hours? Gee, I can't believe, even though it says no trespassing, I mean, there's still limits to that. I think that it was because, they just don't want people driving onto the parking lots. So what? You could park on the side of the road and walk over. I mean, you can't just, somebody could have put that no trespassing sign up and died, and then it would just be hanging there. And what? Everybody's just going to follow that as it falls apart. If you barely read it, but still that's what you have to follow. It's just ridiculous. If they really take trespassing private property stuff that extreme, where let's notify the next of kin. We got to notify the next of kin. They're the ones who have the authority to enter that property. Well, what if the person has no next of kin? That happens too. I've seen abandoned homes, or even I think the next of kin showed up, but then just left it. Didn't do anything with it. It just sits. I've seen it in North Dakota. I've seen it in Colorado. I've seen it in many different states where the house is abandoned, and it's just like there's no next of kin. It's just a house that rots, and that's individual homes. But this I visited was a church, and even churches get abandoned, like that one abandoned Lutheran or Catholic or Baptist, the Baptist church. I just, why people get so upset about that. I don't, if the law wants to charge me for something, please do. Let's discuss this. If you want to discuss this further, charge me, because I think it's crazy to have such extremes. It used to be these trespassing laws started out as no hunting laws. There was a bigger concern about just simply people hunting. Oh, you can walk through, but please don't hunt. All right? And then suddenly it just took a step up from hunting to just stay off completely. They've gone to the extreme, and it's just going further and further if we don't push back. But even I have people, supporters in my own channel, who are saying, oh, you got to follow that old sign barely hanging on to the line. They're becoming, you people who want to agree with that no trespassing sign, you're just becoming, bootlickers. All right, those are, and there's a lot of them. I'm surprised. People who I thought would be more supportive of me have taken a strong stance against the trespassing stuff for a church, for an old abandoned church that barely is hanging on, it's falling apart, and just to look around it, and it doesn't even look like it's crazy. But that's a different subject. This subject is with me in the other Lutheran church, or the other Baptist church, and I'm told not to micromanage or hyper analyze, hyper argue the little things. Apparently, the invitation sign, which is visible from the no trespassing sign, don't hyper analyze it, because judges will assume that it's all, the way the churches operate. They only operate on Sundays. That's it. They don't have office hours. No, you gotta remind these people that churches do have office hours. They do have other appointments besides on Sunday. So you can look. I think you can look around. It's stupid how much people think they have to stay away from some places, especially in times of emergency or just distress. You want to just get away somewhere to somewhere you feel is safe. Okay, but it's the people that make up the safety part of it. The cops in particular. For my case, I have more problems with authority figures than anything. So this is saying, in the third degree trespassing. Yes, I knowingly entered, but I didn't cross any barriers. It's called Temple Drive. All right, I pulled into Temple Drive, and then pulled into the parking lot next to Temple Drive. Okay, they didn't specify if Temple Drive is a private road or not. On that, it's kind of a neat sounding street name. Like maybe it could be private. But I've seen Walmart Drive. I've seen roads that are public that are named after the business that's around that area, just because the city wants to honor that business, to show them some respect for establishing themselves in this particular location. So Temple Drive, without any sign saying it's a private drive, I'm going to assume that it's a public drive. And then I pull into a parking lot, and it didn't even say that it was a church parking lot. It didn't. First of all, it wasn't exactly clear that it was a church parking lot. But I know it wasn't a residence. Residents tend not to have parking lots. And I know that I didn't see any no trespassing signs. I saw a big old U.S. flag, but under that huge U.S. flag, why it's so large? The size of that flag, in a lot of places in my time, like Eau Claire, Wisconsin, there's a controversy about the size of a certain flag. It was too big. It was at a sex shop, okay, where they sold toys and entertainment, and it was off of the highway, and people argued that that was offensive because it was a sex shop, I think, and they had a massive flag that could be seen, that just was, 3, 4, 5 times the size of a regular flag. And I don't know the history of this city, but that size of a U.S. flag can be controversial in some places, like having a sign that's too big and too high. The city will come down on these establishments. But I mean, it's flying proudly at this church. But, that's no invitation, apparently. I'm learning the hard way of Kentucky law, that a giant U.S. flag is no invitation. Being a church is no invitation. Lack of no trespassing signs is not it's not an indication of anything. So it's a combination of a lot of factors there. And I mean, they say that it has to be an announced or emergency. How is the announcement supposed to be made? I make the announcements myself. I say, my nose announces to me, it says, there's smoke in the air, we got to get out of here. Because I was getting crud in my sinuses from the smoke when I was hanging out in the Walmart parking lot. So I wanted to just move, and it was kind of late at night, and I just wanted to get out of the path. And I know that a mile away might be a good distance, and it was. This church had nice clean air. It was nice to breathe that in, but I only got a few hours of that before I got problems with the cops. That's not really a matter of law defense talking about, or it is, it's built into the law. They're saying that the law is that it should be an announced emergency. So I guess that would be a matter of law discussion, because it is in the law that if it is an emergency, then that's an exception. So I would just say there was smoke in the air, and I had to relocate. And then they would say, well, why don't you go somewhere? Micromanaging this, I don't know. I took 20 minutes out to research, to find somewhere that was close, and the church just looked like the best option. I didn't know the side roads very well. And later on my walk back from jail, I saw a side road that maybe I could have parked on, but I was just looking on the map. So yeah, this is a whole problem with this this invitation, and then discouragement, the balancing out that complex relationship that the church has with the community. It's pretty adverse. All right. I like to think I represent the community, but the prosecutor is going to step in and say that they represent the community, and that it's the community's best interest that I get kicked off the church grounds, whereas I say I'm the advocate for the community, and I say that we should be allowed to park in what we consider a safe area, for a period of time, if it's not discouraging and if it's inviting. But we're both advocates for different approaches to community relations. All right. How strong will the prosecutor go with advocating his stance on what he, in his mind, thinks of community, or she thinks of community relations, as opposed to what I think should be best for community relations? And it's just going to be, a point of debate, and then we leave it up for the judge to decide. Okay, now this guy's checking me out. All right, I'm gonna just I want to put it on him just a little bit, just to show that these guys are just circling around, park rangers circling around my car. it's just it's been kind of annoying. All right, hanging out in Paducah, and this park in particular. Oh, he's gonna watch. All right, let's see what we got here. Hanging out in Paducah, and they got in this park somebody who drives around all day. Okay, so he's not kicking me out. All right, it's supposed to be considered like implied consent. You know, it's a park, it's implied. So we have a relationship here where I just kind of hang out, and he just watches over the place. Sometimes they have two of those at the same time, two of these vehicles in this park, just patrol driving around and around, and I find it concerning. I've never seen a park like that where they do that. They have some kind of patrol in the park, just active all day and night. Oh, and they make their friends, so they all hang out together, and they get paid by the hour. This is something I want to actually bring up with the city at the next city council next week. Is this money being spent on these patrols, and what benefits have they noticed? What changes have they noticed? How long has this been going on? Because I haven't noticed anything that's out of the ordinary. I haven't noticed that bathroom next to them is open. I'm late at night. They don't lock it. It's a nice park, a nice quiet park, but the patrols are a little annoying to have to witness. So trespassing is something that requires a complainant, and I guess the church, it comes down to what the church says. Who actually contact? I mean, I got to see what contract they have. It's either the church has a contract before my trespassing charge came about, and sometimes the cops will change the dates when they make reports, make documents. So they could have updated this contract with them and then post-dated it. But it's really a strange relationship where some places do need the protection and other places don't. And then what kind of activity can they report that's been going on in this property? Because they're associating me being parked in that parking lot with all the other reports that have been made. I'm lumped in with the same reports as drug activity and church break-ins. So I'm associated with those. Anybody who's at the church at night are associated with criminal activity. And then the ID thing is in a different situation with them saying that if I don't ID, then I will get the criminal trespass charge. So they just kind of held one thing over my head to arrive at another thing. And so now the jail has my fingerprints. They got the booking photo. So now I'm properly identified. So they know me. And apparently, this is very similar to Louisiana. They have to know who I am. So it's important for me to get them to know who I am. All right? I have to run around announcing who I am so that they can't use that ID, that failure to ID against me. Okay? I have to play politics. Politics is built into the law. You need people to know who you are, or you can get arrested for failure to ID, or they'll find another charge to give you over the failure to ID issue. So you got to play politics, and you got to like make yourself famous, and so that's what I have to do is play politics with identity. It's identity politics, and in Kentucky, just like Louisiana, if they don't know who you are, then you could get arrested. So we're all fighting to be recognized by the government, okay, so that they don't throw us in jail, all right? And what some people have better strategies than others, okay? But you know, it's that's what the government's turning us into is they need to recognize you. They need to know who you are. So you need to fight to be known, so that they can't treat you like garbage. And some people have a hard time being recognized. Some people don't want to be recognized. So it's quite a trade-off. So people who keep to themselves are more likely to get thrown in jail than people who make themselves more recognizable. That's unfortunate. So, but that's the way the law is built.